Hello everyone and welcome back to our hybrid Bible study at St. John's First Evangelical Lutheran Church. I pray you are enjoying this good weather. Here's me assuming that the weather is going to be wonderful on Friday. It's been another blisteringly hot day here in the south of New Jersey and I'm looking forward to getting out in the sunshine, but before we do that we must get our priorities straight, and that of course involves our hybrid Bible study on the book of Genesis. And today we will be heading into the content of chapter number 42 in what will be our last hybrid Bible study for a couple of weeks, as we take a pause next weekend for Memorial Day. So, without further ado, let's dive into chapter number 42, where Joseph would encounter his brothers for the first time in a number of years, as famine surrounded the land of Canaan. The brothers who would make the journey to Egypt would not know that the person before them was actually their long-lost brother, the brother they had sold off into slavery, but Joseph, as we will see, was more than aware. So let's look together at the content of Genesis 42. Now, as we see here at the very beginning, 10 of the brothers, Joseph's brothers, would make the journey to Egypt. However, the youngest of them all, Benjamin, would remain. And we hear in verse 4, because Jacob feared that harm might happen to him. Thus the sons of Israel came to buy among the others who came, for their famine was in the land of Egypt, which we talked about last week, how Joseph was able to interpret the dreams of Pharaoh and how he foretold God's will that there would be 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine and absolutely nothing. So, as a result of this, the brothers would make their the journey to the land of Egypt. In terms of time period here, we're looking at about 20 years, more or less, since the brothers had come face to face when they had sold Joseph into slavery. As we will see here, Joseph would recognize them. He knew who they were, but the brothers, alas, did not. Now, Joseph was governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground, out of respect. Joseph saw his brothers and recognized them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke roughly to them. "Where do you come from?" he said. They said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. Joseph remembered the dreams that he had dreamed of them, and he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land." Now, do we remember all those weeks ago? I know it's difficult, especially when it's warm outside and pipingly hot in the room I'm in right now, but we are well advised to look back at Genesis chapter number 37, of course, where Joseph was sold into slavery. And if we go a bit further back, in that same chapter we have Joseph's dreams, and where he said that they would bow down before him, and this is indeed what would take place all those years later. So prophecy indeed being fulfilled. So he accuses them of being spies. They insist, "No, my lord, your servants have come to buy food. That's all we want. We are all sons of one man, Jacob. We are honest men. Your servants have never been spies." Well, they might not have been spies, but were they honest? They certainly deceived their father, who of course himself was a deceiver, so it seems to run through the family. We don't know what has happened to them, essentially, in this passage of time. We were told about 2 weeks ago now, I believe it was, about Judah and Tamar and the line continuing there, which of course is very important because it leads towards Jesus. But we don't know what's become of them. We don't know if they had changed their ways, if they became more aware of what they had done in the past being wrong, but they had improved. Of course, we all know that the person that we may have been 20 years ago might not be the person we see before us in the mirror today. So there's a potential that they have changed in that regard, at least. But no, Joseph doesn't buy that, or at least in appearance. And he said, "No, it's the nakedness of the land you've come to see. As spies. You are spies." However, he tests them. Verse 15. "By this you shall be tested by the life of Pharaoh. You shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here." Because they did say that the youngest hadn't made it. So he's basically testing the waters here. "Send one of you and let him bring your brother while you remain confined, that your words may be tested." So basically, one of the brothers would go back the others would remain in Egypt until that time had come when he had returned with Benjamin. Or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies. And he put them all in custody for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, do this and you will live, for I fear God. So we note here what he is saying is a result of his fear, his trust in the Lord. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers remain confined when you are in custody, and let the rest go and carry grain for the famine of your household. So he's giving them the food, but the difference this time is that one of the brothers will remain, the rest will go back to their father Jacob and tell him what has happened. Verse 21, they said to one another, truth, we are guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the distress of his soul, when he begged us, and we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us. Reuben answered, did I not tell you not to sin against the boy? But you did not listen. So now there comes a reckoning for his blood. So what they're saying here is that fear, that what they had done to their brother all those years ago, of course they still did not know it was Joseph before them, was coming back to bite them. That karma, not the right term, in faith, but in this regard, we did this bad thing, all these years later, bang, here comes our comeuppance, essentially. We are being punished for the sins we had committed all those years ago, about 20 years ago or so. Now they were talking amongst themselves. There comes a reckoning for his blood. And they did not know that Joseph understood them. So it's incredible. They're saying, oh, all this bad stuff is happening because of what we did to our brother Joseph all these years ago. But they have absolutely no idea that he's right there alongside them. And he could hear them. He didn't need the translator to translate for him. He knew exactly what they were saying. He turned away from them and he wept. And he returned and spoke to them. And he took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain and to replace every man's money in his sack and to give them provisions for the journey. This was done for them. Then they loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed. And as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his money in the mouth of his sack. He said to his brothers, my money has been put back. Here it is in the mouth of my sack. At this their hearts failed them, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, what is this that God has done for us? So they had paid for the grain. Now they had left, and with the grain was the money that they had given originally. Now they've been accused of being spies, and now they have all the grain, and they have all this money. And now the fear among them is this: God is really sticking it to us. We sinned all those years ago, and now look what has happened. We have the money. He is punishing us. We deserve to be punished after what we did to Joseph all those years ago. When they came to Jacob, their father, in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them, saying, man spoke roughly to us, accusing us of being spies, etc., etc., what we talked about earlier, and how he wanted Benjamin, as a proof of them not being spies, to come before him in the land of Egypt. Now in verse 35, as they emptied their sacks, behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when their father saw their bundles of money, they were afraid. Like, what on earth has happened here? We paid, but all the money is here. We are really being punished. And what is Jacob feeling at this time? Are my sons telling me the truth? Is this some kind of conspiracy? I've already lost one son, and now here's another one? Is all this money a consequence of them selling another son into slavery? Is Simeon now forever gone from his presence? Is he never going to see him again? So just an incredible amount of emotion going around here. Jacob said to them, you have bereaved me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. He's gone. I've lost him. And now you want to take Benjamin as well? You must be kidding me. All this has come against me. Then Reuben said to his father, kill my 2 sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I will bring him back to you. What do you make of that? He's basically saying, if I do not come back with your son, Benjamin, then you can kill my 2 sons. What does that say about his relationship with his children? What does that say about the love he has for them? The reaction here is this from Jacob. My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm should happen to him on the journey that you are to make, you would bring down my grey hairs with sorrow to Sheol. Those words do not comfort Jacob. Is he being deceived? After all, we note the history of what his son Reuben had done to him and to his household in the previous chapter. Can I trust what my son is saying? There are definitely trust issues at place here, as was quite rightly brought up in the hybrid Bible study on Sunday. Didn't know what to believe. All this money here as well. And this whole language here of Sheol at the end. You would bring down my grey hairs with sorrow to Sheol. A place of torment. A place of gnashing of teeth. Just bitterness and sadness. And that brings to us our attention here as we conclude. Genesis 37:35. I'll start in 34. Then Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. This, of course, was after him being told that Joseph had been sold into slavery. All his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said, "No, I shall go down to Sheol to my son, mourning." Jacob here believes that the grief that he is experiencing now in the present, in the earthly sense, would continue eternally as well, as he goes into the pit, so to speak, of Sheol, a place of everlasting torment. So it's kind of strange, but we are going to leave it there. That is how it concludes at the end of Genesis 42, with the brothers in this complete state of confusion and fear. Yet Joseph knows that they are his brothers, and we will see what happens next in Genesis chapter number 43 in a couple of weeks' time. So if you are curious about what happens next, then by all means read on and prepare yourselves for our next hybrid Bible study, which will be taking place in the wonderful month of June. And who knows, it might even be hotter than it is now, and I certainly hope that will be the case for my parents in the United Kingdom who are experiencing rain. Surprise, surprise. So a blessed day to you all. Thank you for watching and participating, and we hope to see you again, be it in person or online, very, very soon. To the Lord be all the power and all the glory. Have a blessed day. Goodbye.